Greetings, Boo Believers!
Hi, guys.
Welcome to Deadsville Horror Talk Special Edition. I gotta turn the volume down on my phone. At least I know the volume's working out there for you guys, so my fuck up actually pays off. So I don't have to ask you guys if you can hear us. I know you can, because I'm an idiot and didn't turn my phone down. Woo! So, yes, I'm your idiot host, Ronan James of Deadsville Horror Talk and Deadsville Daily Booze, and I'm a fucking stuntman and director, writer. Wait till you see what I have next. It's a little something, a little fake commercial. Y'all gonna love it. Fucking hilarious.
You guys are gonna love it. It's gonna be amazing.
So much stuff coming out. Check out the new reel that we just dropped. The when you get your goth girlfriend from Temu reel. Yeah, and yes, you can follow me every day, Monday through Friday. I do the Daily Booze at 5 p.m. here on my Facebook page, also on Twitch and YouTube and Kick. We are live as well. And today I'm joined by the lovely Maddie Meek.
Hi.
Maddie is a puppeteer, an actress, a crafter, a prop maker.
Do lots of stuff.
Acting now as well. And
yeah, we're diving into acting. I've been a crafter most of my life. I work with all kinds of foam. I make monsters. I do all that fun stuff.
Yes, very talented, as you've seen, and also if you've seen, she's the puppeteer for Doggy Deviant. If you've been to our live events, or you've watched the trailer or any of the teasers or the music videos or anything like that, she is the hand up the ass of Doggy Deviant, if you will.
This hand, to be exact.
Yes, so there it is. Whew, smells.
I
Damn
know.
it, Doggy, what you been eating?
The smell doesn't go away. It doesn't matter how much you scrub.
All right. Well, yeah, so that's a little bit about us. And today's episode, we are going to review Here for Blood, a new Screambox exclusive, and it's in limited theaters right now. We watched it on Screambox last night, and yeah, we're going to give you in Deadsville Horror Talk tradition, we will give you our spoiler-free first take. So if you haven't seen Here for Blood yet, you can stay tuned in. You don't have to worry about spoilers until we tell you to. We will tell you when we're going to dig deeper. We'll give you a big spoiler warning, so you know that that's the time to pause and go watch the movie and then come back later. And if you want to join us in the chat, that is open as well. We have our few people joining us. I see TJ in the chat, and TJ just sent stars again. Thanks, TJ. 310 stars. I didn't even get a notification. Oh, it's because I turned everything down. That's right. Everything is turned down right now. Thank you, TJ. 310 stars. Mwah! Scream hearts from Steph Infection.
Mwah! I'll do one too. Mwah! Scream hearts.
We're all doing Steph Infection impersonations here on Deadsville Horror Talk Live. So yes, if you have Screambox's new movie, Here for Blood, I think TJ, I think he watched it today.
I think he said he watched it.
Yeah, so we'll get there in a minute. Real quick, make sure that you like, subscribe, follow, hit the bell, all that kind of stuff. We're going to upload this episode to Spotify. So if you missed the episode, or if you want to listen to the replay in your car or watch the video replay, it'll be on Spotify as well, and other podcast streaming platforms. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, watch your podcasts, you will be able to follow and listen to this replay as well. We're going to try and do that with all the lives. So if you join in and chat, and we talk about, we'll read your chats in the during the show here, and then we'll go out live on the broadcast.
Yeah, talk to us, guys.
Replay.
We will respond.
TJ checks in and says, "Yes, I watched it." All right, we're going to get TJ's response and reaction shortly. We're gonna dig in a little deeper here though first, and talk a little bit about this movie. Let's get our screen share going. We're now on Restream, so it makes this lots of fun. I think that's the one we want.
Now
there.
I get to see you do it.
Yes, this is how the magic is done. And we have camera 2 working over here. Maddie, a little close in camera 2 there.
I'm a little close.
We can slide this way a little bit so we get a little more Maddie in the frame there. There you go. There we go. Camera 2. We see Maddie in our Godzilla.
Everyone's nice and close to me now.
All right. So yes, we did call to action in. So now we jump down our little list here and we get to it. And this is going to be all in our first take. So this is all spoiler-free stuff as we dive in. I'm going to bring our screen share up. Oh, it's already sharing. Look at that. We are sharing. Yay. All right. So here we are. This is Rotten Tomatoes. And there's not a lot of reviews on this one yet. It's very new. It's a bit of an indie. It's definitely a low budget
I would
indie.
say so, yeah.
So it hasn't really, the audience score is fewer than 50 ratings, so there is no audience score yet. The critics' tomatometer 8 reviews gave it 88%, which
That's pretty good.
yeah, it's pretty good. I'm a little surprised actually. I thought critics would not have liked this one as much.
Yeah, I thought critics would like pick it apart.
Yeah, I figured they wouldn't like
Because we were
this.
picking some things apart.
There was a lot. There was stuff like just a quick. We both really enjoyed the movie.
Oh, absolutely. It was cool.
Yeah, it was a fun movie, but it's not without its problems, and we're going to get into it. But yeah, I thought the critics would have been harsher on this one, but I guess they kind of
usually are.
Oh, yeah,
Even
yeah.
with like a good movie, they'll just tear it to pieces.
yeah. So,
I'm very surprised at 88%.
yeah, I agree. So yeah, 88% fresh on the tomatometer. And did anybody write a review? Yeah, here we go. All right, so here's a couple of reviews that we're going to write, and I tend to agree with some of these. So this is Richard Klein, Shadows on the Wall. He says, the filmmaking may be somewhat cheap and cheerful, and the supernatural story elements unnecessarily over-egged, but the movie is also boldly inventive and riotously funny. And yeah, it's pretty good. It's a good summation. Next one, Michael Talbot Haynes says, Here for Blood may possibly be the best horror comedy wrestling movie done yet. It's a heart-pounding roundhouse punch of a good time. 9 out of 10. Lindsay Traves from the Daily Dead, maybe you won't be submitting this silly horror comedy for awards contention, but when you're done, you might have to fight the urge to stand up on a folding chair, wave a Canadian flag, and yell, hell yeah, brother. So, and one more we'll read. Here for Blood will likely appeal to fans of Terrifier, the WWE, The Evil Dead, and most camp bloodthirsty slashers. At no point does it reinvent the wheel, but what it does do is make for an entertaining, albeit slightly saggy, tornado of violence. Yeah, and they're all pretty spot on. Now I'm going to read one of these negative ones. Gets so mucked up in particulars and exposition that it loses track of the momentum and drags for the final 15 minutes. And that one's from Cinema Crazed. And there were a couple more good ones here, positive ones, but I can totally see where that one is coming from.
Yeah, I see that too. I know exactly what they're talking about.
There's a lot of exposition. There's a lot of talking because you have this whole supernatural element, and
right, they're trying to give you some backstory.
Yeah, and that was one of my issues with the movie is the pacing and well, yeah, we'll get into it more, but I think the editing. I think this movie really suffers from I don't want to say a bad edit, but it's not a very tight edit, I feel like. There was a lot of times where they should have cut out of shots sooner, cut to other people's reactions in different places sooner, and kind of they left stuff hanging a little too long, way too much, I felt like, which made the pacing a little bit off and made it kind of drag in spots. I think with a tighter edit, this movie snaps a little quicker and everything kind of hits a little faster, and you're not left waiting for stuff. I feel like I was waiting a lot.
I felt that too, especially in the beginning, I would say.
Yeah.
Like that was where it really dragged. But no, that's interesting that you mentioned the editing, because when I think of pacing, I'm thinking of writing, not really like the way that it's filmed. So the fact that you bring up the editing and how things lingered, like scenes would linger longer than they should have. I'm actually like thinking back and noticing that, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Like some scenes could have been cut so much shorter, and that probably was a huge issue with the pacing.
Yeah, that's what
that
I think.
in itself.
It definitely slows the movie down a bit, and especially in certain parts. There are parts where, and it seemed like the transitions between acts, like the first. I mean, we can get into it. This is our first take, so we'll let's get to the synopsis first, because we're kind of digging in here a little more. So we're going to read our synopsis. Yeah, there is a bunch to talk about here, and you guys feel free to jump in too. So I'm going to read the synopsis here, and this is a 2022 movie because I guess it hit film festivals and stuff like that in 2022, and it's won awards. It won a couple awards in festivals, but it did not release until this year, so it's technically it didn't have a widespread release until 2024. So it's a 2 hours. Was it really,
Was it
2
really
hours?
2 hours?
Wow, I guess that's why it felt
shorter.
like it did feel shorter, but it still felt like it dragged a bit.
It felt like a short movie, but like it was really dragged along.
Yeah, there was parts where I was just like, man, they could have moved through that a little quicker.
I was falling asleep at some parts. Like I think like my memory only has like certain scenes of this movie.
Yeah, well, mine, I rewatched some of it today. We also ate a couple edibles last night.
Yeah, I was on another planet last night.
Probably throw that in there. But all right, so here's the summary. When his girlfriend Phoebe is swamped with college exams, Tom O'Bannon, a rowdy pro wrestler struggling to make ends meet, agrees to fill in as a last-minute replacement for her well-paying babysitting job. Tom arrives at an isolated family home where he meets the precocious 10-year-old Grace. What starts off as a quiet night of pizza and video games quickly spirals into bloody, violent chaos as Tom and Grace find themselves fighting for their lives when an otherworldly cult of masked intruders descend on the home.
Okay, that's jogging my memory a little bit. Oh yeah,
Yes.
I remember that part now, kind of.
So yeah, there's a lot going on in this movie. This movie tackles a lot, not to, wrestling and, puns unintentional. But it definitely aims to tackle a lot. And we get the wrestling at the very beginning. Let's jump here. Well, we can watch the trailer too. We'll let everybody watch the trailer as well. But we get the wrestling. We get the backstory on this guy. He's a wrestler. We get this. Well, it starts off with like a serial killer, and and we kind of get the first glimpse at one of the killers. So they start with like a nice opening gotcha moment where we see one of the killers in action, totally unrelated to anything else though that's going on in the movie.
I don't really remember that too well.
No, it's just a very quick thing at the very beginning.
Was it really quick? Like, did they kill somebody?
Yeah, it was really quick. And then
I remember, like,
we don't want to give it away, but yeah, it was a quick little something at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then they get to kind of like setting up the college girl and her friends, and that conversation was really long and drawn out, I felt like. And then we kind of see Tom in the wrestling thing, and that was fun because the dude could legit wrestle. I mean, he actually,
he did some really cool moves.
Yeah, there was some good moves in there. The dude can legit wrestle.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And let's see. So then it takes a little bit before we get to the actual babysitting and that whole thing. And there were some fun moments. The dialogue is pretty good in this. The writing and the dialogue is pretty good.
I thought so too, especially like in a comedy kind of way. Like some of the one-liners were really funny.
And the acting's not going to win any awards, but for what it is, it's a very like 80s, 90s throwback fun movie. A lot of practical stuff in here. It's the action's pretty good. I will say
so
too that
the fighting was really good.
Yeah, the stunts were pretty good. They could have been edited. There were certain parts that could have been edited better too. There were certain things that I was just like, yeah, that doesn't read as great. That one wasn't as good. I mean, because I obviously being a stunt person, fight choreography is my thing, and I've done a lot of it, and nothing can mess up a good fight that you choreograph like a bad edit. And not that there were some bad edits, but I felt like they were, again, long. There was too much. They were showing too much when they should have, like the human eye can capture and the mind can register it, really quick. You don't need to show a whole lot. So like there were times where I felt like they showed too much, even in the fight scenes. I felt like the entirety of the edit could have been tighter. So I'm going to check real quick here because TJ's teching in. He says, yes, I watch it. It was fun for a one watch. Not going to be a go-to horror movie to watch in the future for me. And then he said, I can't hear anything. Never mind, sounds back. All right, cool. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like this as well. And it was fun, like first watch kind of deal. Let's get to our trailer here and we'll give that a look. Probably jog your memory more too.
Yeah, that'll help. I remember liking it.
Come on, Phoebe. I don't know how to take care of children.
Okay, so James, just keep the kid alive for a couple of hours. It's really not that hard.
Let's start over. The sound was down.
I need you to babysit for me.
I need to do what? He's down! Come on, Phoebe. I don't know how to take care of children.
All he has to do is just keep the kid alive for a couple of hours. It's really not that hard. Don't kill him.
I'm not gonna kill him. I'm just gonna bash him. How do you want to do this? You want a fist fight? Oh, all
This baby is really pissed off.
Yeah, that definitely jogs my memory more.
Yeah, me too. That helped a lot. They showed a lot of good stuff in the trailer
They
too.
did.
I'm surprised they showed that much.
Yeah, they did show a good amount of it in the trailer there. All right, so let's get to the writer and director. James Roberts is the writer, and I'm gonna check and see what else he wrote real quick. The writing's pretty good. Like I said, I just feel like the pacing's off more because of the editing than the writing being bad. He's written one thing. This is it.
Oh wow.
This guy has written one thing. There you go. He's the writer for Here for Blood, James
And
Roberts.
that's it.
Yep.
Nothing
And
else.
Daniel Turris, the director. What has Daniel done? All right, so he has done 4 films here: Fresh Meat, Terry's Car Gets Stolen, Enchanted Mafia miniseries, and Here for Blood. So,
Interesting.
yeah, very relatively new team. Writer director team
Considering
here.
that they're new, I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah, like
mean,
the
it's not
concept was
bad.
good, and they really like. Again, there's a lot going on here. You've got the pro wrestling. You've got the kind of Home Alone-ness of the invasion with the kid.
Definitely very
So there's a lot of Home Alone vibes there. It's a slasher because you see him with the axe. There's blood everywhere. There's a ton of like slasher vibes to it, but it's also like a supernatural horror too, because this whole
Yeah.
thing is like a cult, and there's like a whole supernatural aspect to it, and
right. And they kind of dive into it, but I was kind of lost with it.
well, that's what happens too. They get so much into the exposition of it that I think, like with this kind of movie, you just don't care about that stuff. I think you're just like, all right, come on, man, we get it. Get back to the fun stuff.
Right. It felt like they
blah
had
blah
a
blah. You're in the
backstory
cult.
written.
Yeah, they had this whole big thing, and they're
But
just like,
I felt like they didn't really give us as much info as they could have about the cult. Like a lot of it was kind of visual. You're kind of figuring it out on your own.
well, I mean, the one thing they talk about, we don't want to get into, I don't want to spoil.
Yeah,
it,
we
so I
don't
won't
want
get
to
into
go
that.
too far.
Well, not yet. We'll get there. But they give a little bit about the cult, and they talk about it. But that's the problem is they talked about it, and then they would talk about it, and there would be a lot of gaps in between when people were talking, and you're like, all right, waiting for somebody to say something now. Okay, now they're saying something. Now they're done, but we're still on them for some reason. And like, there's no J cuts. There's no, like over the shoulder cut. Like there was a lot of.
I felt like there was like a couple scenes with like an over the shoulder kind of shot. But
there were
like,
those shots, but
it was very little. Like it was a couple, and that was it.
Right. It was almost like a lot of straightforward, just like, we're going to be on this person when they're saying their dialogue, and then we're going to cut to this person when they're saying their dialogue. But then they just left these like, it was almost like it was a newer editor, and he was afraid to trim too much off of the shots, off of the fucking things. Yeah, so he just left little bits of extra, and they're just sitting there, and I feel bad for the actors sometimes, because you're like, because that's when you feel like they're acting. You can tell they're acting is when it hangs too long, and you can tell that the actor's sitting there waiting for the next line, or he's like, all right, call cut, motherfucker, call cut. Like, if you watch that Danzig movie, that was like, oh God, don't watch it. The tit eyes alone will ruin you for movies forever. But he hangs so long, his editor just has no concept of where to fucking cut between dialogue and all that. There's just like huge gaps that hang. So this movie isn't that bad. It's not what the fuck was that movie called? Satanica? It's not Danzig bad. But it does make it drag. And if this is a 2-hour-long movie, then that definitely explains
Maybe
why.
that's why it's 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So
and with you being an editor, you're gonna notice all that kind of stuff.
yeah, well, I mean, and the fights were edited pretty well for the most part.
so.
The fights were edited pretty well, and
I
they
thought
moved
they were
pretty
shot
quick.
well too. I thought the angles were great for the fight scenes.
Yeah, they nailed a lot of that stuff. It was and that's why I wonder how much these guys maybe delved into more stunt related. Maybe they're more wrestling.
Yeah, they might be wrestling
guys that kind of just wanted to do a movie, and so that's why the fights looked a little better.
Yeah, I was very, very impressed with the fights.
Yeah, the fights were great. Sean Roberts does a great job. We'll talk about the actors real quick. Sean Roberts, now you recognize him from, he was Resident Evil's Wesker. And it looks like he's put on a lot of muscle since being Wesker, because he seems definitely beefier.
Oh, he's
absolutely. He's pretty jacked. Like before. As Wesker, he was in like a suit and he had the glasses, and he seemed a little taller and thinner in Resident Evil. But yeah, he does a really good job in this one as Tom O'Bannon. We have Maya Misayevich as Grace, the precocious 10-year-old, and she wasn't bad. I don't know how much stuff she's done. We can take a quick look.
I really liked the way that she did her acting, and I'm sure the way that her character's written was a part of it, but like she's a very like genuine kid character. Like I've seen plenty of movies where they give very adult lines and words to younger kids, and they basically write like an adult character and just kind of throw it onto a kid. But I felt like with her, she really felt like a kid, with just the way that she is and her being naive, things like that. She was just a well-written child character, I thought.
Yeah, and she has done not a ton, but she's done 27 movies, 27 things she's been in. And she was on The Boys TV series. If you watch The Boys, she played young Starlight. And Starlight is the main superhero girl from The Boys. I know you don't watch it, so
I have no idea what that is.
The Boys is a superhero movie, but it's like the dark side of superheroes. It's like, what if Superman was really a fucking prick behind the scenes and like killed people and didn't give a shit about people? He was just keeping up appearances. So these superheroes are all drug addicts, they're womanizers, they're shitty, just terrible fucking people. And Starlight is like the new recruit who we kind of join the Legion or whatever you want to, the Super Friends, whatever the name it would be, through her. She gets recruited at the beginning, and it's all like publicity. They talk about how it's all publicity and stuff too, and spin. So, but yeah, this girl played young Starlight, so she played the young version of the star of the show. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So she's been in a bunch of stuff. Seven Veils. Another one came out 2023. Unforgettable Christmas in Big Sky Country. She's done a couple Christmas movies. She voiced a couple Snoopy shows.
Ooh.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's very good. Good for her.
She's done a lot of Snoopy stuff.
Yeah, she's done a lot of voiceover stuff, so very good.
That's very cool.
Joelle Farrow played Phoebe, the girlfriend, and she was good enough. Tara Spencer Nairn plays the Barb the mom.
Oh,
and
man.
God, she was like over the top. She was so over the top. When she did oh my God. Like and we can't spoil anything with her, but yes, she fucking okay. Kelly Penner played Mike, and I hated him too. I was like, oh, he's like your typical hipster college dick.
And he is a dick. He's a total dick. We don't even see him for that long in the movie.
Yeah. You had Michael Thoreau as Gil. He was okay. Samantha helped Christine. That's the girlfriend. More importantly, though, we had this Jesse Buck dude who was Bernie, who was like the goofy cult guy who had the kitchen fight scene. He's the kitchen fight scene guy. He was the best. He just had the best facial expressions, and like
most of his character was like him screaming.
So over the top campy. And he was
his
so
face
great.
Looks awesome.
Yeah,
he had
really good practical makeup
makes
and
his
stuff.
Character, he looks iconic.
The practical stuff in this is really good. It definitely there's
the special effects I was very impressed with. Being someone who's very interested in blood and gore and special effects, I'm always paying attention to that stuff, and I was very, very impressed with the blood, especially.
Yeah,
I love how the blood looks.
Yeah, the blood looks really good. They had some really good kills in here, and what do you call it? Also, we can't forget Dee Snider too, finishing up the
very important.
very important to get to Dee Snider here, finishing up our cast list. There's some other people, but the only other of note is Dee Snider, who is the voice of this disembodied head,
And I'm just in love with it.
yeah, it's a great, it's hilarious, and you can tell right away it's D. It's, I don't want to give the line away.
Well, they showed it
We'll
in the
get to it.
trailer.
Oh, that's right, they
They
did.
did,
Yeah,
yeah.
the feed me line is in the trailer. Yeah.
That's I don't know
So
if I want to say.
yeah, if you watch the trailer, it's in there. So yeah, cast and crew were solid. Everybody's. I mean, again, these guys aren't gonna win awards. This is some campy stuff. It's fun. It's 80s. It's 80s, 90s kind of cheese factor.
Totally.
Soundtrack was good. Like
Yeah,
the
I
music
thought so.
was
The
really
music
good
was
in there.
good.
Again, like the there was some stuff that was just a little whatever silly. There were parts where I should say again, there would be parts where and this maybe falls on the writing, where there would be some banter back and forth, and I'm just like, they wouldn't really talk too much right here. They'd be more just like, if there was an intruder in my house and I had to protect a little girl, I might not banter so much back and forth with them. You know what I mean?
He had
There was,
quite a bit to say.
yeah, and they're
before
both
he
just
did
kind of
anything.
sitting there talking and
It's unrealistic.
like, okay,
but,
that's a
like,
little
they're trying to add to it.
Right,
I
right.
understand that they're trying to add like to an effect. But
right. But and again with the right editing, you could be able to pull that off. If you're going
Yeah.
to sit there and have banner and then have an extra 1, 2, almost 3 seconds of dead space before you cut to the other guy that's having the banner, and then he fucking says something, then it's going to be like, then it definitely feels like, this is taking too long. Come on, what the fuck? Like if he were to if he were to be like, who the fuck are you? I'm here for the girl. Then okay, cool.
That
But that's
makes
not the
sense,
way it was
yeah.
edited together.
No,
that was
it wasn't.
that was like the biggest problem with this movie. It's a shame. I feel like they did a lot of really good stuff here. But the editing really was off on it, man. I really felt like the editing could have been so much tighter and do this movie more justice. But so let's just give our let's wrap up our first takes here and give our thumbs up, thumbs down. Would you our final thoughts, spoiler free, because get ready, we're going to jump to spoilers. If you watch this one and you want to talk spoilers, hang in there. We're about to get there. And if you haven't seen it, you don't want anything spoiled. Not that there's like crazy stuff to spoil. It's a wrestling movie. It's a slasher. It's
They showed a lot of stuff in the trailer.
The trailer
Like,
gives a lot
they
of
give a lot of stuff away in the trailer. So after watching that, we could say quite a bit.
yeah, but feel free to hang out even if you haven't watched it, if you don't mind a little bit of spoilery talk afterwards. But we're going to wrap up our non-spoiler portion of the review now, and ladies first.
I would give it a thumbs up. I would recommend it, especially for just how goofy things can be sometimes. Like, it's definitely pretty funny, really gory. The fights are awesome if you like action. But yeah, for me, it was a one and done. But I would definitely recommend it regardless. It's definitely worth the watch. I think so.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I would also recommend watching it. Again, I feel like the editing didn't do these guys any favors by because there might have been a much better movie here, a much shorter movie, and I just feel like sometimes, and again, this is like one of the reviewers said, it was bogged down by a lot of exposition and I feel like one of the problems as a first-time filmmaker, and maybe these guys edited this themselves, is you don't know what to cut. You leave too much in. You really need to go back and really be honest with yourself when you get to the editing portion of something and say, okay, does this really serve purpose to the story and moving the story ahead, or is this just slowing it down? Does this really help what we're trying to do? Is this worth putting in here and taking this, or does the movie make just as much sense, or does this scene make just as much sense and I take this out? Because if you could take it out, you might not need it. You probably don't need it, I would say. And there was stuff in here that we definitely a lot of stuff in here we didn't need. So I feel like, again, it makes sense seeing that these guys were like first-time writer. only directed a few things so far. Like these guys are relatively new at this thing. So editing your material down, learning to be unbiased because it's your baby. So of course you want it all in there.
You want it all to be in there. You don't want to miss out on anything. Like it makes total sense. And like I wonder, because the beginning's really, really slow. I wonder, like halfway through, they're like, maybe we should cut more scenes out.
What's crazy though is when I went back and watched it, I felt like the first first part was really slow too. But when I was clicking through to catch up to where I finished off, it was only like 15, 20 minutes in when we started getting him and the fucking at the house and stuff was actually starting to roll. I was like, wow, really? That was only 20 minutes. That opening
like
intro, it took so long. Yeah. It was like, wow.
Felt like forever.
So I really feel like this movie, if you cut a half an hour out of this movie between a lot of the extra fucking non-necessary exposition and a lot of the end of takes, end of shots, where it just kind of like hangs on the actors for like a second or two too long, you could easily trim this up and make this a way better movie. I think it's a way more enjoyable and way more fun movie if you take out. There's a lot in there that could come out, I feel like. So I don't know. That's my take. I still recommend watching it. And yeah, especially if you have Screambox, check it out. It's a fun movie, and if you like wrestling, you'll enjoy it. Yeah, there's some cool effects. I give it a thumbs up. Definitely recommend watching it. All right, so with that said, now we are going to break out the shovels and dig deeper. I'm falling into the hole.
Oh no.
Falling into the grave as we dig deeper. This is the spoiler section, folks. So if you don't want the movie spoiled and you haven't seen Here for Blood yet, we're going to dig in and talk a little more details and what we really liked and didn't like about the movie, I guess, and get to, more in depth. So let's do it. You can always pause and come back later after you've watched the movie, or just hang out, man. It's just a fun slasher, so there's not a whole lot to spoil that wasn't shown in the trailer.
They showed so much in the trailer. Like you could just watch the trailer and be like, "Yeah, I watched the movie."
Yeah. So, all right, let's start off. So it opens with that like the Crow looking dude killing the girls. It was so quick, and they jump into it so quick. You're just like, wow, what just happened?
So quick, I don't even remember it. I don't remember that happening. I remember.
So that's how it started off, was with the Crow getting.
I remember a different start to the movie.
Yeah, with him, and then it jumps to the college girl and the college friends talking, right? And they have that whole conversation in the cafeteria, I guess, on campus, and that's where we kind of get the dynamic. And even there, the dialogue just took so long. It was just so long.
I think I zoned out a lot of the dialogue. Like I don't remember what they were talking about. They were probably just building up to, what's happening next, so what's going on. But.
Right. Now, when they started talking about Tom, did they start cutting back and forth, or did they just cut to meet Tom later? I feel like, was it like a whole scene?
I feel like, honestly, I don't even feel like they properly introduced him.
I feel like she talked about him, and then they went to him at his wrestling thing. I think and again, this could be an editing thing, and maybe they didn't even think of this, and maybe they did. Maybe they did it, and I just don't remember it, but perfect thing would have been to have them at the table, the girlfriend and them talking at the table, and then meanwhile cutting back and forth to Tom as he's wrestling and fucking.
That would be cool. That would be a cool intro.
That would be. They're talking about him in the negative, like they don't like him. She's like building him up, and then everything she's saying, and then we're cutting to him like kicking ass in the ring, like we saw in the next scene. Instead of having two separate scenes, make it one scene where we're jumping back and forth and we're kind of meeting everybody at once. Might have just make things flow a little bit. I don't think they did it, but that's just my 2 cents. That's how I would have done it.
Yeah, no, I don't think they blended it that well.
I don't think they did either.
I don't.
Real quick, we had a couple of people checking in. Jose Blanco checked in. Anthony Noble, Michael McDonald, and SP Soma. Sorry, Soma. I always pronounce it wrong. Thanks for tuning in. We are talking Here for Blood. And we are in the spoilery review part. So get out of here if you don't want it spoiled.
Beware.
Spoilery. So, all right. So, yeah, we meet Tom, and then she has this whole scheme with the babysitting, and I need to make money, and that whole thing was like, I feel like they spent a lot of time on that too, which
I thought so
they
too.
didn't.
Like,
We
there
didn't
was
even
a lot
need.
of her.
Yeah, with her and the
Ooh,
friends
yeah.
and talking, and there was a whole lot of them talking about that. I need to, and they came up with this whole plan, and then she comes to Tom and she's explaining to him, and we hear it all again, and we're like, all right, there's a lot of talking about this plan going on. Okay, we get it. Tom is babysitting. They spent a lot of time talking about how it's weird that a guy's babysitting.
They mentioned that like multiple times in like one scene too. Like they just keep saying.
They just keep saying it's weird.
And,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I think
Oh my
they were
God,
trying to make a joke out of it. But
Yeah,
it just
yeah,
felt like
but-
it was lingering.
Yeah. Again, okay, especially in a, I don't know, in a world so fucking obsessed with nullifying gender roles. Oh, we can't have gender roles. So what's wrong with a guy babysitter, huh? Maybe a guy can, but he keeps having to say like, I'm not a weirdo, I'm not a
Right,
creep.
you had to keep saying
Keep
that
mentioning,
over
I'm
and
not a
over.
weirdo. Yeah.
I also feel like they did build up a lot of the wife character when she was not in the movie much at all.
Yeah, like there was this whole thing. Like
she was
later on in the movie,
significant,
I didn't even catch it till late. Yeah, we'll get there because we haven't even gotten to that whole section yet. All right, so Tom's going to rest. He's gonna babysit. So he shows up. Him and the dude, the like white dude with the white Jufro. They're talking, and he's like, "Yeah, you're not weirdo. Okay, it's a little weird, dude." And of course, we got the whole weird. Then they come in. And we meet the girl, we meet Grace, typical kid, just interested in their video games, and yeah, they just tells them to eat the cookies. The cookies she tried. They didn't. I kept thinking like they kept showing the cookies, and I was like, something's up with the cookies, but then nothing ever came of it. And then she says something later.
Mhm.
You were supposed to eat the cookies, and I was like, oh.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, like she mentioned, like, oh, have a cookie. Like she mentions that once. It's very subtle,
Mm-hmm.
but they do show them a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like a visual kind of.
Mm-hmm. All right, so so what do we get then? We had we don't have to go blow by blow in the movie, but Tom's babysitting, things are going okay. They start to hear something in the attic, right?
Right, I think.
Oh no, they order the pizza.
Oh right.
They
The
order the
pizza
pizza.
happened first. Oh,
The pizza
man.
happens first,
Oh,
and the pizza guy shows up. That was a fun scene though too. I dug the pizza guy.
He was great.
Because the pizza guy recognizes Tom. He's like, "You're Tom O'Brien. Oh man, that's me, my friend. Da, da, da. Can I get a selfie?" And he's showing him he's like, "Dude, I've been working with a bunch of dudes." It's like, and you can tell Tom's just like, "Oh yeah, it's cool." It's like making his night. That whole scene was fun, man. And I was like, "Oh man!" And then as soon as he walks out, I was like, "The pizza man's fucking dead. God damn
I
it!"
was so sad.
The pizza man's dead. Damn it! I knew he was coming. And I knew, I was like, and he makes it all the way to the car, and that's when I was like, oh yeah, he's in the car.
Yep.
And that was a good little spray
was
out
good.
all over
Yeah,
the
that
fucking.
was- Like one thing about this movie is like the blood is super gooey. Like it looks gooey and sticky and it's stringy and it's like almost like you melted down Jello and like spread it.
Yeah, it was a good.
It was
a good
gooey.
consistency.
Yeah, it was gross.
It was
I
thick.
loved it.
It had a thick viscosity to it.
Yeah,
So,
like all the blood was just like, ooh, it's gooey.
Yeah, so we get that kill.
That was a good one.
But Tom doesn't know it yet. Like they don't even know that,
Oh,
that
yeah, they
this
have
is
no
going
idea.
on. So, but then they hear the banging, or he goes up and asks if she did it. She's like, "No, I didn't hear nothing." And he's about to go up into the attic at one point, and I think she comes out and that's when she wants something to eat. Oh, that's when they go order the pizza.
Oh,
Yes.
that's right. And then
That's when
there's
they
a
order the
point
pizza.
where they're
so there
playing
is the
video games
bang.
together.
Yeah,
and maybe
yeah,
that's
that's
when they
later.
hear it.
Well, there's the bang is earlier. He goes up and thinks that she did it. She says no. He's about to go check the ceiling, the attic, and she comes out and says, "I'm hungry." And then he says, "Oh, go have a cookie."
Okay.
And she's like, "No, we got to order pizza." So that's when we get that. And that screen's frozen right now, but we're still good and live, so we're just going to keep talking.
Yeah, we're
this
still
one.
good.
Going to keep talking about it. Anna checking in. Hi, Anna.
Hi, Anna.
Hi, Maddie and Ryan. Hi, Anna. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so we get we get the pizza guy gets killed, and we get that. Then we have then we meet the what's his name guy, the upside down face guy.
He's the first one.
He's
that
the
we
first
meet.
one, the
I
upside
think-
down mask.
Isn't she playing games and like
And
he
he-
like taps her on the head or something? and
He
she
like
looks
creeps
up.
in behind her, and she like looks up like this, and he's wearing the upside down mask, so it looks right side up to
Right,
her.
so his mask has a face upside down, like on his forehead. So
Yeah.
that was a really cool introduction
yeah.
shot for him, especially because you look at it and you're like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah. That was a cool little thing. So she screams, and he turns around. He's in the kitchen at that point, and that's when we get the first fight with the goofy guy. That's when we get the
that's
fight
right.
scene in the kitchen.
Oh,
It's
okay.
the goofy guy isn't the guy with the upside down mask. The upside down mask is the other guy.
He takes his mask off really early on. I don't even
Yeah,
remember
the
when
goofy
his
guy
mask-
takes his mask off,
I
or he
think
gets it broken. Yeah,
I think
he
it's
gets it broken.
and then you just see his face for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, so he loses his mask. We have this cool fight scene in the kitchen. And again, this is where there's a little banner back and forth where that kind of hangs and lingers a little too long on everybody. But once the fight begins, that's cut pretty well together, and we get a good amount of brutality and violence. And he throws that's what it is. He throws the boiling water from the tea onto the guy's face, and he takes his mask off because his face is all
Oh,
blown.
because it's
Yeah. And he had that big boil on his face, and
that's right. And then and it
he's like,
it opens and
Yeah,
there's this,
yeah,
like,
it's so
goo
gross. I was
coming
like,
out. It was so gross.
yeah.
Oh, it was fantastic.
So then the whole thing with he burns his face on the range top. They have the
Right.
electric stove,
So it's got that coiled
that
look
coil,
to it.
yeah. So he
he's
gets
got
him.
that burn mark on his face for the whole movie.
Yeah, so that's
and
where
he
we get
looks
it.
fucking awesome.
Yep.
He was an awesome character. He was super funny.
A funny actor, super animated, screaming.
Yeah, he was like a cartoon.
Yeah, he totally was. He was like the fun, goofy comic relief villain. He's like somebody's little brother who's an idiot, but you got to have him tag along.
I just love that, like, throughout the movie, you just like they cut back to him every once in a while just to see what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he's usually like he's walking around just screaming about his face hurting. Like,
Well, at one point she throws hand sanitizer on him because he's coming up to get them. So so they get the invasion. They're breaking in, and Tom fights them all off. He bashes the dude. He burns the guy's face, and he runs out of the house. He chases him out. He goes upstairs to save the girl, and beats up the dude in the upside down mask and ties him up with a
that's right. Yeah, he ties him up. I forgot
with
about
extension cord, and then goes downstairs. Now they're trying to call, but he doesn't have his cell phone, right?
I don't think so.
And she doesn't have a cell phone. And the place is in like the middle of nowhere, as we should also mention. So there's no neighbors or anything like that. Where are we then? There's the guy tied up. Oh, well, then the girlfriend. Oh, he loses his phone to the guy. The other guy gets his phone. That's what happens. And the
Oh, that's right,
girlfriend
he did
texts
take
that
it, yeah.
she's getting ready to be on her way. And he's like, okay, hurry, see you soon.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So then the girlfriend shows up now. Tom is like waiting it out. Him and the girl, he's been like cut. He's, fixed himself up. And they're barricaded in the house. And I think also at this time, he goes up into the attic and finds the head and like a whole sacrifice shrine and all kinds of shit up in the attic.
Yeah.
Which
they have,
this
like,
was
a
one of my
altar.
qualms with the writing. This is one of my qualms because later when the husband and wife show back up, the parents, the stepdad and the mom show back up, I would have questions for them. Wouldn't you be like, how the fuck do you have this whole shit set up in your attic and you don't know about it? I call bullshit. This is you. You guys are doing this.
Right. He should have
there's
figured
so
that
much
out.
up there. But he's just like, I got to show you something in the attic when they finally come home after all is said and done. That was one of my biggest,
Yeah,
I was like,
right.
I would have called the cops first. And then, because he's like, I'm going to show you something and then we can call the that He even says it that was like part of it. Yeah. He's like, we got to call the cops. We got to get out of here and call the cops. But I got to show you something in the attic first. And he takes Gil, the fucking dude, upstairs, and that's when he stabs him. And Gil stabs him. And we
Oh
find
my
out
God.
that's when the big twist comes into play that he was in on it the whole time. And there's this whole thing like the mom and dad are in on it. They're supposed to sacrifice the girl, and that's where it gets all convoluted because you have this whole thing with the cult members and this one gold-faced masked. He's got like the gold repair stuff, like Chinese pottery and stuff.
Like if they break a bowl, they'll repair it with gold, so it has like a gold seam wherever the breaks are. That's how his mask was.
Yeah, and it was very cool.
Very, very cool. Like he was a really cool, like powerful kind of character. The
designs on all the masks were really good.
They were all very, very well
the
done.
characters were
well
good.
Designed.
So, and we have miscellaneous. I'm not going to go through every kill. There were some good kills. Who else? Oh, one of the fun parts though was seeing the hipster dude die. Like at the very when the girlfriend first shows up, when the girlfriend finally shows up, the door's locked, and she pulls up, and they're like, "Oh, the pizza car's still here," and she's got her girlfriend, and the girlfriend's boyfriend that we met at the beginning.
They were dropping her off,
right? But they're like, "Oh yeah," she's like, "Oh, come on in and say hi to Tom," and the girlfriend wants to go in and say hi. The guy hates, "Oh, I don't want to say hi to Tom anyway." Oh, blah blah blah. So they go to the door, and while they're at the door, they're like knocking, and Tom's not answering. She's like, "I'll just text him." So she texts him, and she gets a text back, and it says "boo," and she looks at it. She's like, "Boo," and she turns around, and there's burn face dude. There's burn face guy, and that's when he grabs her, and she starts screaming, and he's got the knife, and he's like threatening her, and the girlfriend's like, "Oh my God, Mike, do something, do something." And he's like, yeah, I'll do something. And he runs away. He runs away to the fucking car.
And he's like, get in the car, we're leaving.
He's like beeping for his girlfriend, get in the car, we're leaving, get out of here.
I thought he was going to leave.
I was like, holy shit.
Thought he was gonna drive off.
But at the same time, you also knew the crow was in the car waiting for him because you kind of saw the crow walking around, and he's kind of like lurking in the mist at this point. So the crow killer is like in the car waiting. Make short work of Tom. Everybody was. Oh no, that's right. He like slices his neck, and then it sprays. We get that again, and then the door opens, and Tom and Mike is his name, right? And he's like staggering out, and they're on the door, and they're trying to get the girlfriend, and she's like, no, he's still alive. We gotta help him, and he's still alive. And they're looking back, and now the dude's like crawling on the ground, and the crow's on top of the back, and he's like, boom, right in his back with the knife.
Oh,
and she's like, no, wait, he's still alive. And he's like, where? And blood's flying everywhere. And he's like, his blood. And then finally, you see Mike just like, Gah. And then and Tom's like, yeah, he's definitely dead now. Let's go.
That was hilarious. He's getting stabbed to death. No, he's still alive.
He's still got hope. So yeah, that was a really funny bit. There were some funny bits like that in there. And so they finally get inside. This was funny too. They get inside and they're like, what the hell's going on? And he's like, I think we're under attack by sex perverts. I'm just like, what the fuck?
Some of the shit that he said is so funny.
And then later on, like a half an hour, 40 minutes later, he's like, I'm starting to think these aren't sex perverts.
It almost feels out of character when he says these things, but I didn't even care.
Right, because he didn't seem funny. He doesn't seem that goofy. But then he just says a couple goofy things. And they were
kind of dude.
He seemed pretty smart. Yeah. He seemed kind of smart.
And then he's saying this like super goofy one-liners, and I'm just like, this is a total switch of character.
Yeah. So yeah, there was a couple of funny bits, funny lines in there. Yeah, that was good.
I liked it. I thought it was funny.
The sex perverts thing was good. I mean, he has quite a few more in there. He was good. He actually did a really good.
Everything was funny. You'll find out when you watch the movie.
Yeah, there's what else? Well, yeah, we should talk about Dee Snider. Feed me. It's just a little fucking head.
He's just a little skull,
like a skull
with
head
one
too.
Eyeball. He's got one eye, and he's adorable.
Mouth's all gooey, and
he's got the gooey blood.
He's a total hand puppet
in his mouth. He's like a latex puppet, and he is adorable. He is precious.
So, and he somehow plays into the whole ritual that they have to do.
They, feed people to him.
Yeah, so the whole thing, he eats that, and that was all even that when they pushed him into the brain and the crow died, the crow guy died by having his brain eaten. That was so anticlimactic though. I was like, dude,
he was like a super.
I know he
intimidating
was
character.
like
he was fucking
dude,
scary.
he was like the main killer through the whole thing,
And he
and then
was
just like
super
this
intimidating.
unceremonious death. Like Tom got his ass kicked, and then he and then he just happens to like he like trips him or knocks him into the thing, and the thing starts eating his brains.
Yeah, he like tripped him or something like that. Somehow he got his head like right to.
Yeah,
the
and of
skull
course he just
was.
couldn't get away. The skull was biting on it, and he couldn't
He
just
was like
get
biting
out
his
of
hair.
there.
He
you
could
know?
have totally gotten away.
Yeah, some of that stuff was a little but you know, I'm
Yeah,
trying to have fun with it.
It was still fun regardless.
Yeah,
But
exactly. You have fun with it, but then he gets up and he's like, "Oh, you see the scalp is
You
missing,"
see,
and it was
like,
just like
his
the perfectly
brains.
rounded top, not at all where the skull was chewing on his head.
There's no bite marks
There's
on the brain.
No, not even on no bite marks on the brain. It was just like he was completely scalped, just like
It's like you
lifted the
just
top
ate,
piece
like,
right off.
the skin.
It was like a perfect circle. It wasn't even bitten. It was like somebody sawed off the top of the skull and just lifted it off.
Clean.
And when you see him chewing on, he's chewing on like the back of his head. There's nothing. That's all still intact. It's just like a perfect circle on the top of his head, just lifted off. It was so. That was pretty
very
bad.
goofy. But I do wish that I wish that he had a more epic death because he was a very scary character.
He deserved
was
a better.
very,
Deserved
very
a better death.
intimidating,
Yeah.
just fun to watch.
And they gave that big meat dude the big fight scene outside, which was okay, but
And like you see, he's like a background character.
yeah,
at
he
the
has
end
any
of the
lines.
movie.
And like his whole fight's like I got so tired of hearing him grunt.
He's
I was
like
like,
a
oh my
wild
God.
animal.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he's not even
But he was
human.
always grunting like nonstop. I was like, all right, enough grunting, dude. Like, I mean, even people that, you know, like even animals don't grunt that much. You're over grunting. So, all right, let's jump to the end. How did you feel about the ending? Do you remember the ending? So the ending, we find out mom and dad are in on it. They kill the fucking dad.
And they wanted to kill.
Well, no, they
his
mentioned
girlfriend.
they have to kill. So the whole thing is that they're granted unlimited power by these demons who they have to sacrifice beautiful women to, and that's the whole thing.
That was their whole thing. So like
Sacrifice
they wanted Tom's girlfriend, who's normally the babysitter.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going to sacrifice the kid as well. But I think the main sacrifice was her because she was like a pretty girl. So, and they were like, "Oh, we're doing this because we like you," and you know, they wanted to take her along on their adventures in the afterlife.
Yeah, and the mom is totally over the top with this shit.
Oh, she's so wild.
And then we had the main bad guy is the guy in the gold mask. He gets kicked into. There's this big portal. It's just like this big closet. It's this big closet with
Isn't
a big
it in
head
a
on
barn?
it. It's in the barn. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, man, who did you build this here? Did you move this?
Yeah, right.
Why is this demonic door in your barn?
They're prepared. They're ready for it because the parents were in on it. See, that's the whole thing. That's why Tom was like, "I got to show you this thing upstairs." It never dawned on you, Tom, that it might be them. That the parents are in on this whole fucking thing. This is all a setup. Come on, Tom. But yeah. So we get the big bad at the end, and the door's open, and they got to toss the girlfriend, and Tom's trying to stop them, and the mom's there, and there's like, oh, so we need a sacrifice, or we need a tithe, or all of the, or they're gonna destroy everything. They're gonna come through the portal and destroy everything. Oh, it just has to be any old sacrifice. So then let's give him you. Boop, and he boops him into the fucking thing.
He got booped.
And the big bad black guy goes flying backwards. Oh, he gets booped into the fucking interdimensional portal and explodes, I guess, or some shit.
Well, he comes back. Remember?
Oh yeah. That's right. He comes back.
He comes back in like a demon
form.
Which was very cool makeup, by the way. Really cool. He had like yellow contacts, and he had like symbols carved like into his face and stuff.
Yeah, and now
cool.
the gold was in his skin.
Yeah, it was in his skin, and he had gold on the collar. Like, so he wore like a suit, and he had like gold pieces in his collar too.
Yeah, so there's really, a lot of gold.
Cool. Yeah, he was a really cool character. I loved his design, and
he was fun.
And he was like that, big bad boss kind of character. Like you're almost kind of rooting for him. He's cool.
Yeah, he was fun, and acting wasn't too bad. He was good enough. So then he comes back, and how the fuck did they kill him? I even forget how they killed
I
him.
don't remember.
It was so like.
Did they use the head? Because they
blah.
destroyed the head, remember?
Yeah, he chops the head at one point. No, they put the head.
But it
They
didn't
used the
kill
head
it.
to kill the meat guy.
Or wait, didn't he like try to make a deal with them? He was like, oh, because he's like, I'm going to destroy the head. And then.
No, that was earlier.
Or
That was earlier. Yeah, and he still tried to
Okay.
destroy the head, and then the girl
and then he goes into the portal.
beat the meat girl. The
Yeah,
girl beat
yeah.
the meat guy with the head. God, that sounds awful. The big dude was choking Tom, and Tom's like, get the head, and the little girl grabs the fucking head and puts it on the guy, and it eats his fucking
Oh,
neck.
that's right.
And that's how that's the last we see the head, I'm pretty sure.
I think so. And like he he didn't smash it. He like put
Well,
like
there's a big severed in the top of him. But
I think they used like an axe or something on it. And he was still alive.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that didn't affect him at all.
You can't kill D. Snyder that easily.
Yeah, no, it's gonna take more than an axe wound, guys.
So then they didn't kill him any way special. I was just like, okay, that's the end. And then the mom says something, and they punch the mom, and everybody lives happily ever after.
I don't remember the ending. Like it must have not been that great because
I remember it wasn't very good. I remember it didn't tie it together very
D. Snyder.
well. Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, yeah, that's gonna do it then. Final thoughts on this one? I guess we dug out a few more.
We didn't go too much further, but
no. Well, we talked a little more in depth about some stuff. We talked. There was some more. There were some good jokes in there, but again, I feel like the ending was very forgettable. Again, like overall, it's probably just a one-time watch, just because it was so like plotting at points. It was so slow, especially if it's at like a 2-hour runtime. Jesus.
I know. I couldn't believe that was 2 hours.
Yeah, well, that explains why we were getting so tired.
We know why. And I think it's also crazy how much even like cutting 2 seconds out of a scene can make a huge difference in a movie.
Yeah, totally.
It's crazy how little you have to do to make a huge difference.
Yeah, no, editing's big. This movie's a perfect example. Perfect example of how a tight edit or if you have a loose edit, it can really make or break.
You could totally watch this movie to like figure out what not to do with editing. Like you could examine this movie and kind of learn from it, honestly.
Certain parts, yeah. The fight scenes were edited together well. They seemed to flow together. It seemed like he knew where he was going with those. It seemed like on the dialogue, he didn't know where he should be making his cuts. And that was the big problem. There was too much space. And it wound up, and all that space adds up to 2 fucking hours. So yeah, again, bottom line, I dug it. I recommend watching it once, but there was it's first time filmmakers, and I will look. They did a good enough job that I'll watch the next thing that they put out. I'll be curious to see how they do on the next one. So I give them a thumbs up, and they really tried to tackle a lot. They did succeed, but they all there was a lot that kind of failed as well. So but still worth a watch. Definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with watching it once and being done with it. I probably wouldn't go back to it unless I wanted to examine something or like learn from it or
remember the ending.
Or remember the ending.
Go back and
might go back to
I'm curious now, like how the fuck does it end? We had to go watch it.
Yeah, you don't remember either. If you don't remember, then it must have been really boring.
Yeah, he comes out of there, and then I don't remember how they destroyed the whole thing.
It wasn't epic at all.
No, it was a very it was an anticlimactic ending.
But yeah, I would say, watch it once. I think it was a fun movie. It's, it's entertaining. It held my interest. But yes, it was very slow, especially in the beginning. And I agree about the editing. I feel like they could have cut it up a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, for me, the thing that really stands out to me is the special effects and the gore and the blood. We didn't even mention when Tom gets stabbed in the foot.
Oh, yeah. That
was some of the goofiest, reddest blood coming out of his shoe. Oh my gosh. Like I love the consistency of the blood, and I will watch the movie just for that and for D. Snyder, because I love D. Snyder, even though his character had one line and he just kept saying "Feed me," and he's adorable. I would watch it just for that. But it is a fun movie, cool action, cool gore, cool characters, really great character design. But yes, it has its flaws, but I would say, yeah, give it a watch.
All right, well there you have it. One more pet peeve I'll throw in because you just reminded me of it. Tom gets stabbed in the foot. Tom gets his arm sliced. Tom gets a gut stab.
Yeah,
But Tom's
he's-
still able to wrestle like a motherfucker through the whole goddamn movie. He hasn't fucking missed a step. So
his foot gets stabbed. He goes, "Ow!" and then he keeps going.
so yeah, you know, I call out Scream for shit like that. I got to call out this movie too, the gut shot. Oh yikes! But all right, that's gonna do it for this episode of Deadsville Horror Talk. Thanks to Maddie Meek for joining me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and yeah, we'll feel free to throw some comments in there. What you thought of the movie? We'll always check them out and come back, and maybe we'll read them next time we jump on live before we get into our next review. So all right, that's gonna do it, Boo Believers. Until next time,
Bye.
stay spooky.
I'm gonna copy you. Stay spooky. 'cause
No,
I
you
don't-
gotta come
I
up
don't
with
have
your
one
own
yet, So I
catchphrase.
gotta steal for now. I
You
gotta.
need your own catchphrase.
I don't have one yet.
All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Anna, TJ, Jose, Anthony, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a good night. See you guys tomorrow for Daily Booze Live.
Bye, guys.